Happy Wednesday. So today what we're going to be doing, we're doing a live funding strategy and review. So I have a client's actual profile up, and what we're going to do is actually go through their profile, analyze it for fundability, and actually work out a strategy live on this call. You guys are welcome to join. Definitely want to hear your feedback on how you would approach this particular situation. If you're new to the channel, my name is Jamal. I'm the credit protector. I am a credit counselor, and of course, I help small business owners and individuals get access to capital to help fund and grow their businesses. So what we're going to be doing today is actually deep dive into that so that you guys can actually get a view and see what it's like to actually have somebody go through a credit profile and see if it's ready for funding or not. That's what it's always going to be. You look through the profile, we're going to see how the profile is set up and then see if they're ready for funding. If they are, great. Then we already are going to have some opportunities available for them to get some funding. If for some reason they're not in position just yet, guess what? That's not a problem because our job or my job is to help them get funding and get into position. Unlike a regular lender, broker, or a banker, they don't typically help you get to the funding. Is either you're qualified or you're not. Meanwhile, when you work with someone like me who acts more as a consultant, someone that's on your team, I'm going to look at your profile and we got to keep it straight, right? If you're not in position, then you're just not in position. But the great thing about credit is that it's never static. It can go up, it can go down. If it goes down, guess what? There's ways to bring it back up. And once you're back up and you're in position, guess what? We're going to go for the bag. So I love actually taking time out to do these, especially live, and just being able to go through and look at these different profiles. Now, if you ever want me to take a look at your particular profile, I can definitely do that. All you really have to do is just grab. Nope. I selected too much stuff on this one. Let me remove that. Boom. All you got to do is just grab, like I have in here, a $1 credit report. You can grab that. You can say, hey, Jamal, take a look at my credit. You can email me your credit report after you download it for $1 and say, hey, I want you to take a look at mine. Tell me what I need to do so that I'm in position for funding, right? And that's, if you're interested. But if not, it's all good. We're going to go through this profile anyway and see what we can see. I'm on my phone right now. I'm looking at the computer just to pull this up. Boom. Let's see. We're going to look at this profile here. Of course, got to protect, everyone's identity information. So we're not going to be showing any of their personal information. One thing I want you guys to make sure you do when you're going for funding, right? This is something anybody can do, and this will drastically increase your fundability drastically. This is without even doing anything else with any accounts, collections, anything like that. Make sure that you're using the same personal information every time you apply for something. That means the same exact version of your name. If your name is William Alfred Johnson, and that's what you want to be known as on an application, then put that, William Alfred Johnson. Do not put Will Alfred Johnson. Don't put Will A. Johnson, right? Put William Alfred Johnson, if that's what you want in your credit report. Because what happens is that every time you fill out an application with a different name, that name gets slapped onto your credit report. What happens with that is they'll start to confuse you with other people, because Will A. Johnson is it's pretty common, right? Whereas William Alfred Johnson, it may be that can be more specific to you. So you don't want to use aliases, you don't want to use nicknames, you don't want to use abbreviations of your name when you're going and filling out these applications, because you may get denied because the system can't match you up properly with the data that they have. So when you fill out an application, they're going to use 3 points of identification. They're going to use your name, your address, and then the third item, they're either going to use the last four of your social or your date of birth. So you want to keep at least those three pieces of information consistent. All right. Even a deeper tip, you don't even have to use the address that you live at. You could just use the same address. So if you want to use a friend's, a P.O. box, whatever, just keep that address consistent. That way you won't get denied due to the computer not being able to properly identify you. I can't tell you how important that is. It's super important. You can absolutely get denied simply from using a version of your name that the system doesn't recognize, or even a version of your address that the system doesn't recognize. I'm near the DC area. In DC, we have I Street Northwest. Depending on where you look up the address, it'll either say the word I Street, so EYE Street, or it'll say the letter I Street. Not only do people get denied because they don't spell I correctly, if when you're sending packages get lost. Like, luckily the drivers just know where that is, so they go to the right spot. But it can lead to packages getting lost and outright denials of your credit report because the street name isn't spelled exactly the same and the system doesn't recognize it. So everyone, do yourself a favor, decide the exact version of your name that you want on your credit report and on every single credit application from today moving forward. Decide the exact way you want your address written out. Okay, if it's going to be ST for street or STREET. Okay, believe it or not, it happens. You can literally get denied for things like that, or even worse, someone else can get access to your information because they are using a version of their name and it's similar or maybe the exact same to your name. Right, so definitely make sure that you guys and ladies take advantage of that and get that personal information consistent. That is going to drastically increase your approval rating, I promise you. So let me get into what we're going to be looking at today. Right, so let me turn this around. Boom. All right, cool. So we're looking at this profile today, and you see here they have a pretty good credit score, right? When we're going for funding, you want to be in the 680s and above. Over 700 is premier. Of course, 720, sky's the limit. But this person is basically over 685 across the board, okay? And they have a pretty decent credit history. We get all the notes, blah, blah, blah. Now, let's take a look here. When we're looking at this summary, right, there's a couple of things that I see that stand out. The number of open accounts is pretty good. You want to have at least 5 open accounts with a good credit limit. Okay, you see here, he has some pretty decent credit limits considering he has high balances. And that's okay, even if you have a high balance, because even though it says 18,000 or 22,000, this person could already have access to, $100,000 worth of credit. So if you have a $22,000 or $18,000 balance, that doesn't mean you're out of the running. Because if you actually have over $100,000, you're only at like 18 or 22%. But we're going to scroll down. We're going to look and see what those actual balances are and how that plays out. When you're going for funding to maximize, now I'm going to tell you guys to maximize your funding, you want to be under 30%. Once you're over 30%, your limits will start to shrink. I know from experience, I've gone for funding with, 35, I think even 40% funding. and on the business side I got like a $5,000 credit card. That's not, you don't want to do that, right? So keep your utilization under 30% and bring it under 30% before you go for funding. That way you can get larger limits. Something else that I see here is inquiries. Typically, when we're going for funding, you want to keep your inquiries low. I would say under 4. Now, they have more than that, as you see, 11, 8, 6. We're going to, before we go for funding, we're going to remove these inquiries. If you're not familiar with how to remove inquiries, I have a video on it. Actually, I've made 2 videos about how to remove hard inquiries. I also have an ebook that tells you how to remove your inquiries within 24 hours just by doing a phone call. Um, the ebook you can download for free. I have it. I think the link is in the description, and the videos are on my page. You could just go to the page and type in hard inquiries. It'll pop right up, right? Another thing is these delinquents and derogatories. We're going to see how bad these delinquencies are. When you're going for funding, we want to get rid of the delinquencies, and we don't really want to see more than you don't want to have any delinquencies, I would say, within the last 2 years. So we're going to see how old these delinquencies are and see what impact they can play, right? So these are all the things you want to look at when and determine like how we're going to handle this as we or as you go for funding. Okay, so it's nothing like, if you don't have everything in position, it's okay. You don't have to hurt yourself, or not hurt yourself. You don't have to beat yourself up about it. So installment loans are just that. The cool thing is that installment loans do not count towards your utilization. So it's all good if he has an installment loan, and this one is paid off in full. So his payment history is looking really good, right? So here, this one to a revolving account is paid off. Now he has a late payment, but this late payment is from 2019. It's way older than 2 years, so it's not going to have as much of an impact. Now, I have seen some people get denied for old late payments, but some banks are more lenient, i.e., credit unions. Okay, certain credit unions will actually still approve you if you have a late payment. Luckily, this one is super old, 2019. We're looking at almost 5 years. So I'm not really tripping on that, right? We're not going to trip on that at all. This one, right? Another installment account. As long as the payment history is good, they're paying on it. That's great. That's perfect. Okay, revolving account. Say now this limit is kind of low, $250. This is probably some kind of starter account. We're still going to take a look at the rest of the accounts to see how we can maybe counterbalance that. All right, we got some revolving accounts. This is good. Now this is great. This is looking really good. You got a balance of basically 1900 on a $5,500, right? So the ratio is pretty good, but we noticed that the balances are not the same. This say 27.99. This say 19.94. Which one of these is accurate? I'm pretty sure the 1900 one is accurate. So we'll need to reach out to this bank, and anyone can do this. You want to reach out to your bank when you see discrepancies like this. You're going to want to reach out and call them and say, "Hey, I looked at my credit report. Y'all reporting the wrong balance. My balance isn't 2700. It's only 1900. I need y'all to bring that down." Okay? So you can always do that. Don't ever think that you cannot call them and have them fix something over the phone. You can 100% do that. So that's one of the things that we'll have the client do. Reach out to their bank to fix that, right? Now here we're looking at is 2500, and the balance is 1366. We are going to want to fix that. This ratio right here is a little too high on this particular card. So we want them to put in some extra work on this one, bring this down even more. Luckily, they have been working on it. You see it was at 3,000, now it's at 13. So, they're working on it. So that's good, but we want that down a little lower to improve that ratio, that utilization ratio. Right? This account looks great. The balance is only 20 bucks, 3,300, so we're looking sweet right there. This one also looking great. $947. This is another account where she's going to need to call and have them fix it. You see, Experian, I think this is Experian. Experian is showing a balance of 4,700. Meanwhile, the other two are only showing a balance of 900. We definitely want them to show a balance of 900 across the board. We don't want them to see that 47 at all. They definitely don't need to know nothing about this 4,700. We want them to see that 974, especially compared to a $14,000 credit limit. We talking about that's less than what, 1%, right? So I'm definitely, one of the things we'll do is have her call and have them fix the reporting of the balance, right? Because that's what it's all about. All these numbers, what happens is that, let me turn it around real quick. So what happens is that the numbers tell a story. And anytime the numbers are not in your favor, we want to change the numbers in our favor. We want the numbers in our credit report to tell the story that we want to present to the banks, because that's all the algorithm is looking at. Especially if you're doing like a pre-approval, or if you're Matthew, what's going on, bro? If you're doing a pre-approval, or if you're doing a like if you're doing a late night hack where you're submitting your application at like midnight or between 1 to 4 a.m., you need your profile to be pristine and as good as possible so that the algorithm can pick up that data, right? You want to talk, basically, you want to talk nice to the algorithm, right? I don't think so, but you are the first person to comment. So congratulations. Thanks for tapping in. Where you coming in from? Where you coming in from? Let me know. Right? So, Poppies, what's going on? What's going on? How y'all doing? All right. So you want the algorithm to pick up these numbers. So if the numbers aren't in your favor, what we're going to do is make sure that they work in your favor, right? So in this type of instance, cool. In this type of instance, since the balance is reporting 4,700 on one of the credit bureaus, and then it's only reporting 974 on the other credit bureaus, we wanted to show, hold on, let me see this, boom. Right, so like right here, you see this is only 947, this one is 4,700. We want that to be good. Extra. All right, so this one's kind of, limit's kind of low, but it's all good. It still has on-time payment history, so that's fine. That's straight. With this one, now this account needs some work. There's a lot of inconsistencies on this particular account. We would definitely want to dispute this to fix this, right? Because the credit limit here is off. We got 750, we got 500, we got a crazy balance right here. It's just a lot of information that's not matching up. So we would want to get this. Removed and deleted, right? This account is great. It's totally paid off, right? So I think with this particular profile, what we would want to do is beef up more of these accounts. He has a she well, it's a she has a lot of lower limits. She has a lot of lower limits, and we want to see at least two accounts over $5,000 to $10,000 at least, right? I saw one account was over 14,000, but everything else is like 300, 200. So we would want to beef that up with some. What we would want to do in this case, what we would want to do in this case is we would want to Let's see. We would want to one get more credit limit increases. We definitely want them to increase all the limits on their credit card. Now, when you're doing that, you want to make sure you're not doing getting a credit limit increase that is going to result in a hard inquiry. Anytime you're doing a credit limit increase, you want it to be for a soft pull. That way, it doesn't hurt your credit, right? The other thing is that they have a lot of hard inquiries on their credit report. We are going to want, let me show you how many hard inquiries they got going on right now. They have a lot of hard, all of these are hard inquiries, right? This is way too many. We're going to want to reduce that. We're going to want to reduce that down to about 3 hard inquiries on this particular credit report. Okay. So when looking at this one, we're going to want to delete these hard inquiries, right? That's one thing we're going to do before we go for funding. Then with the accounts, because she has a lot of accounts that are just low limits, 300, 500, we want to bring those accounts up. We want to have at least 2 accounts that are over 5,000. They have currently have a 14,000. We want to bring another account over 5,000. And we want to get some real cards. They have a lot of store cards. Store cards are cool to start off with, but is not going to get you to the bag when it's time for funding, right? The store cards get you to regular cards like Bank of America, Chase, etc. And then once you have a couple of those on your profile, then we can go for actual business funding. The store cards, if you build up your profile with nothing but store cards, the business funding ain't really going to hit for you like that, right? So that's how we would treat this particular client. So once we get them in position, they'll probably, based on what their profile looks like, we're going to get the credit limits increase. We're going to get them some real banking institution cards, right? Once we have that, that'll probably take about 60 days. They'll be ready for some funding. Once they're ready for funding, we'll be able to, excuse me, we'll be able to run their funding sequence. So when we're doing the funding sequence, we do 3 banks from each bureau. So 3 banks from TransUnion, 3 banks from Experian, 3 banks from Equifax, right? And even better, when we can, we'll do it local or banks that are in their particular area. It's always good to start off with local banks and regional banks, right? So what? Yeah. So y'all let me know your thoughts on that. Have you already gone for funding before? Is it something that you particularly like to do? Or what type of business do you have? And are you looking to get it funded? Right? Let me know in the comments. Like I said, this was going to be a short video, nothing too crazy. Y'all let me know if you have any questions or anything like that. If so, definitely just drop a comment on the video when it re-uploads or shoot me an email. My email is in the channel description, or you can click the links in the description of any of my videos. All right. In the meantime, in between time, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.